So just to stay on schedule, last two training days, yeah, just been kind of going through some stuff in life, and people that are close to me know. And it's funny though, because perspective that I have on this, like I think everybody just saw me tear my bicep damn near off. I mean, ultimately the surgeon told me I split the muscles. You have two heads in your bicep. Mine split in half and tore the tendon, and I had a dead guy's tendon burrito wrapped over that tendon, surgically put back on. I worked out the day before and the day after surgery, so people can see like the perseverance through pain and obstacles. But I'll tell you, like sometimes the life stuff, the emotional stuff, is much harder to push through. So like on this day in particular, I went to the gym and just my stomach felt sick from stress, and I got it done as best I could. So we had 110-pound dumbbells for 2 sets of 10 and then an AMRAP. And I think I got like 14 or something like that, which is still fine, but it was so hard. I actually failed the first set of 110. Like I did 2 sets of 10 first, but literally I had Shane come over there and put it on my shoulder. I did it for 1 and dropped it. I don't know, my head just wasn't in it, and it's so hard. Like I think it's just, such a meathead thing, but like it's so much easier to push through physical pain and obstacles than it is emotional stuff, Or maybe I'm just a weenie. That's a common term that a lot of my clients use. Like the girls' clients, they'll always tell me like I'm being a weenie. Not me, they'll say themselves or whatever. But like, yeah, man, that emotional stuff can be the hardest to get through. So actually, I cut that workout short. That was supposed to be like 4 or 5 more accessories. I don't know what with my one arm, and I just couldn't get through it. So I went home and I told my coach, and of course he's understanding, and I think, and people can disagree with this. But it's very important to me. I think a good coach can get emotional on the right level. You have to have boundaries. But my coach has known me for, we're going on like 3 years. I can actually count it in workouts because of our app. It's like 300 and something workouts. So, he's giving me life advice for what I'm going through too, and touching base with me and all that kind of stuff. And I do that for my clients too. And actually, I would say like one of the amazing things that is happening in my life is like, I'm going through something right now. My clients have all just kind of stepped up and started to take care of me. And it's cool because I've been taking care of them for a long time. At least that's what they tell me. And so it's nice. It's nice to be a part of a family like that. It's nice to be taken care of in that way. But yeah, still staying on it, not missing any workouts. So we came into squat today, and man, I was running on fumes. I've probably slept like a couple hours, not eating real good, just haven't been able to eat a lot. And so I didn't know how these squats were going to go. And the program was 450 plus bands for 4 sets of 5. And you know what? Like we got there. And a lot of that's by the grace of, this has been the common theme of these videos, grace of good training partners. And, Larry has stuff going on too. We were both kind of probably running on fumes. In fact, we were late last night talking on the phone, just trying to figure out life and stuff. And so, we're in that same place. And I told him, like, I don't use anger to get through sets. I had some anger, I have some frustrations, and I didn't use those to get through my sets. But I do. Sometimes I just do my sets. Like I'm not really thinking anything other than I have to get it done, and I do it explosively because that's how I know how to lift. But like, I did tap into some motivation today. And usually for me, like my motivation comes from mental motivation. And I think about motivating people or even impressing people. I'll say that. And maybe that's narcissistic to just want to be impressive. But like that sometimes drives me. And sometimes I can think about just wanting to impress certain people because it's important. And I think positive things come from that. And it really got me through these sets. And I feel like I did a good job. Also, depth was really good today. And I was super happy about that. And I said this in one of my last videos, but I started to just do something stupid, simple in warm-ups, which is like, I do my normal hip stretches. I think stretching your hips is just wildly important. And then I start to sit in a deep squat with nothing on my back, and I sit for as long as I can. You see, actually, I almost tipped over right there because I just lost my balance. The bands on an SSB pull you so far forward from the camber of the SSB that, like, you can't really see it in these sets that me and Larry do, but, like, there's a very strong forward pull to the SSB when we go down and back up. But yeah, I sit in a deep squat with nothing on my back, and then the first time I take just the empty bar out, which I always do, I sat in the deepest squat I could for, a good long time. And that simple thing has made such a difference in my depth in the last couple of times I've squatted, which is good because depth was starting to become a problem for me. When I went to nationals in May, granted I bombed out on deadlift because my left arm, where the bicep tendon tore, was having some major grip issue, which now assume is all related to that bicep tendon that had been shredded for years and my hand not being able to stay closed. But I definitely cost myself a squat on depth. I was able to do my opener, and then I went up to 722, and the first time I tipped over, similar to what I did on that squat that was just on there. And then the second time I just cut it high. And I had the strength for it. It came up no problem. And I have no doubt in my mind that if I went deeper, I would have come up the same way. But I was getting a lot of mobility issues in my hips. So, like, it's funny. Sometimes you look for the most complicated, stretch or whatever exercise. But, like, just sitting in a deep squat twice before I start my workout seems to be making the biggest difference. And it feels good. I like that it's a simple answer for it. And actually, like, credit to Larry. I think he was the one that talked to me about that. And I've had the other clients that did that too. Sometimes they use a kettlebell, do like a front goblet squat. But really, it's opening up the hips too. And I definitely use a cue, and I've been telling all my clients this, that you want to think about twisting your quads out from the hip joint. So like your external rotation is not just the simple cue that I used for years, which is just knees out. And I stand by that's a fine cue if you're just getting what they call knee vargus, or what some of my clients call Disney knees, where they're just collapsing in. You definitely do want to push your knees out to keep your hips engaged. But the true trick to it is to actually twist from inside the hip joint in the femur and create tension in your hips before you start your eccentric descent. And then you just want to fight for that same hip tension the whole way through. And if you do, your hips will stay under you in the bar as best you can. So I felt that today really well on squats. I was coaching Larry on that. He had some good sets where he used that cue as well. And then, we had Bulgarian split squats, which both of us were just like, Bulgarian split squats. But ultimately, these went really well for me. I've had a lot of balance issues. Larry's having some balance issues there, or maybe he's just switching legs. I've had a lot of balance issues, so I've not been able to push a Bulgarian split squat for a long time, but we've been slowly working our way up. And today I did it with a 70-pound dumbbell, and it was only like 2 sets of 8 per leg, but I had really, really good success with it, and I felt really good about that. And I was still frustrated, and I kept telling Larry, I'd be like, this about that, or this about that, I'm frustrated, and then I'd be like, at least these are going well today. And that's kind of how I am too, man. Even no matter what, like when things are getting you down and you're frustrated, whether it's outside the gym stuff, inside the gym stuff, you got to find what's going well and focus on that positivity. I had a client tell me that they really admired my optimism. And I kind of responded and said, like, it is optimism, but it's also just a really positive spin on callousness. Because, like, and I'm no different than anybody else, but, like, I had a hard childhood. And then I had some really good years from, like, 18 to 22 or something like that. Truly, they were super awesome. And then I decided to join the Army and go get in a war. And, like, my life got super, super hard again. And so, like, you just get to a point, and this has everything to do with training through a bicep tear and all those other things. You just get to a point where it's like, man, I've been abused, neglected, shot at, whatever. Like, your worst day is just, like, it's not that bad anymore. Like, things aren't going well in the gym. You have an injury, Things in your relationships aren't going good, like, whatever. I mean, nobody shot at me today. I'm still in here lifting, whatever it is you find to be grateful. I still have 1 good arm and 2 good legs. So you find a way to be grateful. And it's a little bit about being callous, just not letting the stuff affect you, not letting the stuff stop you. Maybe it's always going to affect you, but it's not going to stop you.